Hello, everybody. Come on in and say hello as you join. If you're not sure what you may be joining, this is the Virgo Full Moon manifesting and mentoring call that I have every month for the full moon. And so we will be talking a bit about working with the lunar cycle as you set intentions, learn lessons, of course, implement new things in the furtherance of what I call manifesting me. And that's for each of us, right? We are each manifesting ourselves on an ongoing basis. And so that's what I started calling it, my manifesting me process. So every couple weeks or so, I have one of these lives, one at the full moon or around the new moon, one around the new moon. Let me start over. And then one at or around the full moon. And that's what this one is today. So we have the full moon in Virgo tomorrow, which is going to be Saturday, the 24th of February. So I like to share ways that you can work with the lunar cycle, how to work with and incorporate the zodiac that the new moon and full moons fall in to help you in that process. And since it's a cycle, it repeats over and over, and we go through the same steps, we get better, we learn lessons, and there is absolutely no wrong time. There's no wrong time to jump in and start doing the work, the manifesting me, or working with the moon. Simply learning how to work with the cycle and the phases is really just a great structure, a great framework and structure to follow that can be so easily personalized and tailored to fit each of us, right? Which is when, what I realize, and so I say often, is when we personalize things and make it so that it works for us, find out how to do that and make it so that it moves us towards something that we desire meaningfully. That's when we start experiencing results. That's when we stick with things, and how we learn when things aren't working or need to be tweaked. First of all, we have to know they have to mean something to us. Because if we're doing it just because, I don't know, someone suggested it, or because we think it's the way to be doing things, that's not going to necessarily get us, it's not going to get us long-standing results. We may see some results. And of course, we can make anything work, or we can be successful at anything, but it's that longevity and that consistency. So we're not going to be consistent with things if, one, we don't enjoy it, or we don't see results, or a combination of those two. So that was like it was just a random way to get the live started. Oops, what do I got here? So I am still having some random, I haven't quite found the perfect lighting situation set up here. So this works great, but if I put my glasses on, there's a lot of glare. So I will only be doing that when I need to read something or look at something on the screen or in the comments. And whether you are joining live, or whether you are watching this in the future on the replay, say hello. Let me know where you are watching from. And I'm just making sure that I can see the Facebook comments here. Let's see, turn down the volume. All right. So if you were around, or if you set intentions at the new moon a couple weeks ago, we had the new moon in Aquarius. So we are in the new moon, or the Aquarius lunar cycle, and we're halfway through with the full moon coming up. It is every 2 weeks ish, right? We have a new moon, then 2 weeks later a full moon, then 2 weeks later a new moon, and so that is the cycle that we work through every 2 weeks about. And so the Aquarius new moon was about 2 weeks ago. And I talked about setting intentions with the idea of like expanding our knowledge, expanding the way that we see things, learning new ways of doing things. Um, I talked about inventive thinking, and and primarily seeing things or doing things in a new way that not only helps you, but might also help whatever the collective is. That could be your family, that could be your coworkers, your business, that could be society, whatever the collective is, and being receptive to new ideas, to new beliefs, new perspectives on things that might either challenge what we or you guys have, what we've traditionally or what we've just thought or believed always, and being receptive to new ways and things that might challenge us as well. Not necessarily that we would have to agree with them, just open and receptive to other points of view, other people's perspectives, and and being okay, like, right with that. And so that might have played out with maybe trying new things in your life or looking at things differently. And you had a conversation, maybe, right, with someone's like, hey, I never really thought about it that way. Or what is a new way that I can do this thing? So that was the new moon. The video, the live replay, or the replay of the live is still available. You can go back and check that out. So I don't want to get too far into that. And so that was Aquarius. And so now we're talking about the Virgo full moon. And if you're familiar with the zodiac, Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo is a planner, likes to plan, likes to organize, likes like practical steps, practical actions, right? That they can take, and planning and knowing what the process will be. So that comes in handy at sometimes, and also can be challenging at sometimes, right? I lovingly refer to my mom as the Uber Virgo because she really is a planner. She loves to plan. That is how she feels comfortable in things, and uh, probably in control, if she would use that word, but safe. So she likes to plan. That is her safety. And she's also very good at organizing. If I ever need anything organized or like things packed in an organized fashion, she is the go-to for that. She can put things together like an amazing Jenga or Tetris puzzle. So that is one of her superpowers. I am more, let's just get it in there, try to make it look nice, and come back and organize it later. Come back and organize it later. So Virgo with the full moon, then things that you might want to take to consider at this full moon for releasing, letting go of being too stuck in the details, right? Like if you really are caught up in having to know all the details or anything that you've been learning, like these new ideas or new ways of looking at things that, maybe have come about since the new moon, being too stuck in the detail of it and not being able to move forward before understanding it or knowing fully what all the steps are. Or where you are over caring for others and not so much taking care of yourself. Because Virgo is also a sign that likes to be of service, loves to do things for others, likes to facilitate things for others. And so in doing that, we can very easily overdo that, put others' needs first before ours. And so that is just something to maybe release and acknowledge and let go of at this full moon, because we're in that Virgo energy right now. I don't know. I don't have my calendar app available that tells me like the times. So, but the Virgo full moon is tomorrow, and we're probably leaning and feeling that energy already now. So as it relates to manifesting, because you don't need to know the astrology of things. You don't. I like to give that information because a lot of people are interested in it, including myself, but it is not a requirement for manifesting or even for working with the moon. If on a very basic level, you set intentions at the new moons, take actions at the quarter moon, the first quarter, do some reflecting and see what you've learned at the full moon, and at the third quarter moon, you're looking at how can I do things differently? What can I envision or think of doing things or having things differently so that I can set my new moon intention at the next new moon. That has absolutely nothing to do with the zodiac signs at all. That is simply the basic framework. And if that works for you, fantastic. That's how I started because it felt too intimidating, too much information, and just too much coming at me, or to try and learn and comprehend to also include the zodiac signs. So if you're newer to these calls and you're like, I have no concept, that just feels like a lot. Like someone I know says it feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. That's not possible, right? So if it feels like too much, simply start with setting intentions, taking actions, learning the lessons, getting the insights, and then imagining what you might want to work on next. A new way forward, a new way of being, and then setting another intention at the next new moon. And then if you want to venture and learn more, perfect. So with the Virgo, with this releasing, there are three. I think I've referred to it before as like my full moon trifecta. Three things that I incorporate in some way at the full moon or during the full moon time. And we are in this full moon energy for a few days. So it's not like if you miss it today or tomorrow, you're not like, oh man, I missed it. You can do these things at any time. So the things that I incorporate for the full moon are forgiveness, release, and then gratitude. And the reason being is when we think about this as a creative, or not a creative, as an energetic thing, right? It's not a physical, tangible thing. But if you have like an energy, like the energy that takes up space within your body, and if you then identify things that you want to forgive, identify things to let go and release, you're creating energetic space, right? You're clearing out some space energetically. And so now that it's cleared, what to do with it so that the stuff you're letting go of doesn't as easily just come back and take up that space again. So with the forgiveness and releasing, that's clearing out the space, and then we fill it with gratitude, right? So we fill it with something positive, with something desirable, so that we can continue to attract more of those things, of the desired results, of the things that are going well in our life. And you can be grateful for anything, and that just energy in general attracts more positivity and more desired things to all aspects of your life. So you can be wanting to make changes in one area of your life, and you're really struggling maybe with finding something to be grateful for in that area. Be grateful for something in another area of your life, and it benefits this other area. And one of the concepts that I talk about, like to kind of portray this, give this, how it affects things. Think of yourself as, actually I don't know if this illustration will work, but I think I can make it work. Let's see if I can find it quickly to use as an example, just a visual. Okay, so this is actually a lunar tracker, but that's not the purposes of what I'm showing it to you for. So think of yourself, think of yourself as here in the middle of the circle. This is you, and all these other pies, all these other slices or whatever, those are the different aspects of your life, right? Friendships, fun, career, money. There may be that many, there may not. I think like there's things that say there's like 7 or 8 major areas of our lives, right? Like finances, which consists of like finances, financial security, wealth, safety. So finances, relationships, fun, like travel, things, so there's big chunks of your life. So you are in the middle. You are the one in the middle of this circle. All of us are in our own circle. And then all these things are different aspects of our life. And so since we're the one in the middle, see how they all touch, right? They all connect with this center you. So we are always the common denominator between everything that's going on in our lives. It's affecting us and our energy affects it. So if, for example, just for visual reference, let's say you're working on an area of life down here where you want to make changes or you want to change circumstances, improve things, etc. And so right here is where you're focusing on making changes and you're finding it difficult to find something to be grateful about here. Well, what if you're grateful about something up here? You're still the common denominator. So it affects all aspects of your life by focusing on yourself. And that's why I love this manifesting me concept that I came up with, because the more we work on ourselves, the more we make ourselves the focus and the priority, that by default positively affects every single aspect of our life. So making ourselves the focus in that aspect is how to make the change. And it's not selfish in a bad way. It's selfish in the healthy, positive ways that benefit you and ripple out to benefit and affect all areas of your life, people that are in your life, relationships, everything. So make yourself the focus. Focus on you. The changes that you want to make or experience, make them within yourself first. Okay. So let's see. I have to get back. I have to get back to the Virgo moon information here. So with the Aquarius new moon and doing things, maybe you've thought of new ways of doing things, and you've got some new ideas maybe in taking action on these new concepts and new ways of thinking. Now at this Virgo full moon, you can ask yourself, how can you implement these new ways of being, these new thoughts, these new habits, whatever new thing, how can you implement them in your life in a practical way? So practical steps, because we do want to use that practicality. And so how can you implement these steps in practical ways in your life? How can you build a new habit? So habit stacking. Attach a new habit when you're going to do it to a habit that's already existing. That's a practical way to implement a new habit. You could also use, I've lost the page again, but you could use a tracker like that, like a lunar tracker, to habit track. Write down your habit and how many times, if you do it every day or how you feel about it every day. And so what are some practical ways that you can implement these new things that you're bringing into your life or that you have been learning about? And looking then at what to let go. So when you're bringing something new in, for example, a new way of doing things, a new habit, what can you let go? Are you maybe replacing this new thing or using the new thing to replace an old or outdated habit or something that is no longer helping you? So you'll be letting go of that old way of doing things because it's not going to help you anymore. Maybe it never did, or maybe it has served its purpose. And now you have, of course, at the perfect time, attracted a new way of doing things. And now you have to learn how to implement that. You have to learn how to make that your new normal. So that's where this flow of setting intentions, taking actions, letting things go, releasing and gratitude, and then imagining a new way forward, a new way of being again. So how can you practically implement these new things? And it's going to look different depending on what aspect of your life you're working on. It's going to look different based on how much experience you've had with it, the actions that you're going to take. So that's how you can apply these overarching energies that we're all experiencing and then fine tune it and personalize it to something that you're working on, to you and your life and your specific situation. So we're all experiencing it. So let's take advantage of it. Let's work with it, right? If it's something that calls to you. So, oops. Let's see here. What else did I write down? So what are some practical ways that you can implement it? And what is workable? Because Virgo can also we can be very hard. Our expectations can be very high, with this Virgo, with this, with organizing and sometimes perfectionistic. That can be on the shadow side of things. So all these new ideas that you're learning, maybe implementing, how can you, I wrote it down that way for a reason. So how can you let go of expectations so that you don't beat yourself up for not meeting them? Because Aquarius ideas can be very big. Like, oh my gosh, such a big idea. And then we start taking action. And maybe at the Virgo full moon coming up or at this time, you're starting to think or feel like, hey, I didn't do as good a job. I didn't learn it as well or whatever. How can you do this practically? You're not supposed to master everything within one lunar cycle. That's why it's a cycle, because we keep practicing. We see how we can improve. Even if we're working on a new intention, it all works together because we're that common denominator. So that's basically the gist of the Virgo full moon. What can you let go of that is not working, that is outdated, and how can you practically implement new steps, new habits as you go forward? And then as you're implementing them, you'll be getting information. And then you can say at the third quarter moon, kind of think about, how can this look different moving forward? Now that I've started really getting to know this thought process, now that I've started really working with this habit, how can this now make my life look different or help change my circumstances? And then you can recommit to the same intention again or move on to the next step, answering that question. How can this look different moving forward? Okay, and so that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, what did I write here? Oh, that's a good one. In this energy of practical steps, you can also, whether you set an intention or not, all by itself, independent of anything else, look at your daily. I saw a friend do a video on this. And that's why I added this. I added this at the end because it fit perfectly. What are your daily routines? What are your daily habits? What are your daily or regular rituals and practices? And take a look at them and say, are they benefiting me? Are they helpful? Do they feel good? Do I still enjoy it? Is it having a positive effect or impact? Is it, like a comfort ritual where you're not looking for results, but it's a comfort ritual? So that is still of benefit to you. And what needs to go? So what's working for you and what's not? You can evaluate that now at this full moon and let go of the things, the habits and practices that are not helpful or moving you in the direction you want to go. And if you guys, whether you are catching this later on the replay or anybody that's live, if you guys have any questions that come up, feel free to jot them down under this video or, in a post, and I will come back and answer them and I will give you feedback. So no worries if you either didn't think of it while you're here or you're catching this on the replay. Go ahead and participate with those questions, jot them down, because if you have that question, I'm sure other people have that as well. So overall, releasing things around being too stuck in the details, not worrying so much about the details, and how can you practically continue this new practice, these new habits, these new rituals, whatever. How can you practically carry them forward to help you make those changes? And that will lead to, hey, how can this look different? How can my life look different with this being a part of my life now? So that's pretty much all I've got for you guys. And I'm trying to think. So the next live like this will be in about 2 weeks. And that is going to be for the Pisces new moon. That's the last sign of the zodiac. So that will be wrapping up the zodiac calendar as it comes to the new moon cycles. And then after that, we'll move back into Aries, which is, I'm an Aries. So Aries is always kind of like the beginning of my personal year because that's when I was born. So Aries season, Aries new moons, those are really, those I think of like my personal beginnings, my new year's. So we'll talk a bit about that and how you can apply that to your life in a couple cycles from now. We still have the Pisces new moon next time. And sometimes, yes. Oh, and if you haven't checked them out, I have a lunar lessons podcast episode or podcast series on my podcast, the Rockstar Manifestors podcast. Every lunar cycle, I share with you the lessons that I have learned, right? So here in these lives, I tell you ways to work with the zodiac, things that the zodiac might help with your intentions, how you working and releasing things and manifesting at the full moon now. And then in the lunar lessons episodes, I actually share my experiences and my intentions and the lessons that I have learned, the actions that I took or didn't take, and the results. So I share my experiences, and that's on the Rockstar Manifestors podcast. And last week sometime, maybe early this week, I posted the lunar lessons for the last lunar cycle, which was the Capricorn. Is that right? Yes. So for the Capricorn new moon lunar cycle, I posted that podcast episode earlier, so you can go check that out. I will link it. I might have to do it now because this is streaming in the Facebook group and also on YouTube. And once the live ends, I cannot. Oh, then maybe that's okay. I can't put the link in the chat on YouTube. I can only put it in the description. And that might actually be okay. So I'll put the link to that episode in the comments or in the description so you can check out the lunar lessons episode and then keep an eye out for that. So check out the podcast. Let me know if you do and if you have topics that you would like me to talk about. And I think that's pretty much it for this one. Next chat will be in a couple weeks. And then starting in March, I am diving back into the monthly free class, free activity, etc. here or in the Moon Manifesting Rockstars Facebook group. And in order to participate, all you've got to do is be in the group. There's no signing up or anything extra. Once you're in the group, it happens there. And if you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook is not your thing, I also make those available. If it's a class or something along those lines, I make that available on Zoom, so you can attend on Zoom. And if it's something along a challenge, like a 5-day challenge, or once I did where I posted a journal prompt every day of the month, if it's that type of activity, then I typically make it like on Threads or on Instagram. That's not quite the same thing, but I do try my best to find ways to make it available if Facebook is not your thing. And because I've gotten feedback from people that say I'm not on Facebook but would like to participate. So that's my way of doing that. So let me know if you have questions or anything along those lines, and I will talk to you soon. Share in the group or in the comments on YouTube. Share any of your full moon practices, your insights, whatever you do for the full moon. Share it with us. Sharing is caring. And I will look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care.